Young teenage kids from the Milwaukee area showed up at MCC for summer employment. I'll never forget Calvin, Malvin, and Alvin, 3 black brothers who were always having fun with the white caddies. Their parents must have had a great sense of humor in coming up with those rhyming names. The 3 chipmunks and their friend Paul Henry, who looked like a young Lamont Sanford, were always joking around and saying stuff like, "Callaghan, I was with your mama last night." As a young white boy trying to stick up for my mom, I would respond with, "No, you weren't. She was at home all night." Then they would fall apart laughing. Henry would often ask me, "Hey, Callaghan, you got 15 cents for a bag of chip?" This went on throughout the summer, and I must admit, up to that point, I hadn't been exposed to many other ethnic groups. The first time was in the summer of 1968. I was 8 years old, and Mr. Cannon took Dave and I swimming at the Gordon Park pool, which was in a predominantly black Milwaukee neighborhood. At that time in Milwaukee, racial tensions were at an all-time high. After Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination, race riots broke out in the city, and Father James Groppe was marching with a sea of black people into the Milwaukee suburbs. Watching them march directly towards our home from my living room window was unbelievable. Dave and I logged a lot of time together growing up. He was my buddy and one of the red-headed Cannons who lived 3 houses up the block. And when Dave and Mr. Cannon and I walked into the Gordon Park pool area, all of the black people sitting around the pool were glaring at us and talking amongst themselves. All eyes were upon us. You could feel the racial tension in the air. I felt really white. We entered the boys' locker room, and as we were changing out of our briefs and into our Speedos, 4 young black kids were over in the corner and staring at Dave in amazement. One of them pointed to Dave and said with a big smile, "Hey man, look, he got a brass one." Dave realized they were talking about his amber-hued dunkler and quickly pulled up his suit. Mr. Cannon, a quiet man, just stood there expressionless. I fell apart inside, but in all fairness to Dave, I couldn't really laugh out loud. It was one of the funniest things I had heard in my young life. But I didn't really understand why they were laughing so hard. Their charcoal-colored wieners looked like they were left on the grill too long. We were all learning that day. The black kids I got to know during my summer's caddying were a lot of fun and became good friends. They were full of life and made the most of each day. I love that they were always entertaining and enjoying themselves, and I'm proud of the fact that our generation, for the most part, learned to see past the color of someone's skin. The Caddy Shack was a place where you could hang around and play basketball and pinball until the caddy master, Phil Kepke, called your name. Then you and 3 other caddies were sent down to the golf bag storage area for assignment. The honor caddies, the ones with seniority, were the first to get out each morning, and the rest of the order was determined by when you arrived and signed in. The sooner you came in, the sooner you went out, and the more money you could make. My goal was to caddy 2 rounds before sundown. On July 2nd, 1974, I was sent over to Tuckaway Country Club in Franklin, Wisconsin, to work the GMO, the Greater Milwaukee Open, golf tournament. Today it's known as the U.S. Bank Championship and is played at Brown Deer Park. It was my 3rd tour at MCC, and I had made the honor caddy list. Each year, the private golf clubs from around Milwaukee sent their most experienced caddies to work the tournament. The GMO was exciting because you were paid $10 for 18 holes, plus a great tip. While I was hanging around the Caddy Shack, waiting forever to hear my name called, I noticed Sam Sneed walking into the club with a tournament marshal. It was easy to spot Mr. Sneed with his trademark brim straw hat. Sam Sneed was a hero, a champion. The GMO was a major golf event in Milwaukee, but never seemed to draw the big names like Watson, Miller, Palmer, Sneed, or Nicholas. Most of the marquee golfers would skip the GMO and play in the British Open. Sneed was a golf icon. According to ESPN and the PGA, he still holds the record for the most career PGA Tour victories with 82, followed by Nicklaus with 73, Woods with 68, Hogan 64, and Palmer with 62. Most of the caddies were inside the shack at the time, and I could tell the marshal was looking for someone to caddy for Mr. Sneed. When the caddy master asked who wanted to go 18 holes with Sam Sneed, the place went nuts. Everyone filed out of the shack like bees from a shaken hive to see if what they heard was true. Caddying for a golf legend like Slammin' Sammy had to be every caddy's dream, and each one wanted the job. Some of the older caddies shouted out their resumes. "I'm a 10-year caddy. I'm the most experienced. And I'm a professional tour caddy." And the competition grew and started to get out of hand while everyone was pleading their case. I figured, I'm 14 years old and just a 3-year honor caddy from MCC. With those credentials, my chances of being picked for the job were slim at best. So while everyone was arguing over who was the best, most experienced caddy, I walked over to Sam Sneed's red and white Wilson bag and put it on my shoulder. It was the largest and heaviest golf bag I'd ever picked up, but it felt great. The marshal and caddy master seemed glad that a caddy had been assigned, or self-appointed, and said, "You got the job." The other caddies were shocked and shouted, "He doesn't have enough experience. He's just a kid. And what does he know about caddying for a pro golfer?" I was thrilled. I was going to be Sam Sneed's caddy.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.